Dear reader, I'm Tony and this is Book Text. I have a couple of readathons I'm going to be participating in the month of September. So today I have my TBR, but first our word of the day is the word abditory. It is a noun and it means a place where you can hide or where you can keep things to preserve them. Your abditory. I love that word. So I'm going to participate in 3 fall-related readathons, read-alongs this month. First is one that I'm not going to be sharing my TBR with just yet, but that is Fall into Reading. So I will actually have some, because it takes place over the entire season of fall, I will do a separate video for that. But today I have my TBRs for ShakeTube and the Stranger Things readathon. So, first, ShakeTube. ShakeTube is hosted in the month of September by 4 channels, and I will link to all of them below. Rainy Day Reads, Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Totally Pretentious, and Steve Donahue. And they have a schedule, so each channel will host a different Shakespeare reading for every week. I think they're kind of ending the weeks on Saturdays, and they'll have a video or a discussion about what they read. So you gotta pick and choose between which channels you're going to participate with for each week. For this week, so ending on September 5th, I will be reading Venus and Adonis, which is probably Shakespeare's first publication, and it is a narrative poem about love and nature. And I will be reading it in my massive Norton Shakespeare collection that I got from when I was in school. And my lovely Venus and Adonis narrative poem, many, many pages long, quite a long narrative poem. Not surprising for the time period that it was written in. So I'm really looking forward to that because I don't think I read Venus and Adonis when I was in school. For September 12th, I will be reading Cymbeline, which is a play that has themes of innocence and jealousy. I mean, kind of typical Shakespearean themes. The history of England, it actually focuses on an early king of England. And I couldn't pass up also the opportunity to read Richard II. Both of these plays, Cymbeline and Richard II, I've never read before. So I was really interested. Richard II is the first of the Henriade plays. My cat has joined me, sorry. Which are, the Henriade plays, the later ones are some of my favorites. But I've never read this one. This is Ghost. Also, can I say that it just got really cold all of a sudden last night. So I am wearing my bathrobe because it's cozy and comfy. Okay, so I'll be reading Cymbeline and Richard II again in my Norton Shakespeare anthology. For September 19th, I will be reading Macbeth, which is, of course, the Scottish play about ghosts, betrayal, murder, guilt. And I thought I had another edition that I liked better, but I do have the Oxford School Shakespeare edition, which has the play, also has some commentary and things that I can kind of think about while I'm reading or after I read. And then for September 26th, I will be reading Hamlet, very traditional, which is also about ghosts and murder and betrayal and guilt. So some common themes would be kind of interesting to reread this one. I have read both Macbeth and Hamlet, but they're enjoyable. There's so much to learn and read about in those plays. So that's my ShakeTube TBR. I will also be participating in the Stranger Things readathon, which is hosted by a variety of people, and it depends on which team you are on. So I took a quiz. My cat here just wants to be crawling all over everything. I took a quiz about which team I should be on, and so the options are the Griswold family, Scoops Troop, and the Eagle's Nest, and these are all based on the kind of grouping of characters in season 3 of Stranger Things, which I really enjoyed. And this is the kind of readathon that I wouldn't normally participate in because It's not necessarily about classics or the kinds of books that I normally read, but because you kind of fill the prompt with books that you would want to read anyway, I thought it would be fun. Just something different. Ghost, please go away. Go over there. He just wants to snuggle because he's probably cold too. I will snuggle with him as soon as I'm done. So I took the quiz and I ended up on Team Scoops Troop, which is hosted by L'Amour D Books and Lisa Marie Reeves, and I will link to them as well. And for Scoops Troop, the challenges are based on the characters in the Scoops Troop group and some of the kind of items or places where they take place in the season 3. So the first challenge is for Dustin, which is to read a sci-fi book. And I will be reading Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles, which I think I read some of once upon a time, but I am excited to read fully. I love Ray Bradbury. I've read most of his short stories, several of his longer works, and this is about people living on Mars. Another kind of sci-fi. It's supposed to be futuristic, and some of these stories do take place in the future, but not all of them do. Some of them are in our past, but we're in Ray Bradbury's future. It's kind of interesting to think about the passage of time. Okay, so the second Scoops Troop challenge is for Erica. You can't spell America without Erica. And that is to read a middle grade book. So I will be reading Richard Peck's Here Lies the Librarian. This is kind of a fun, quirky story. Seems like set in early 20th century, as you can tell by kind of the technology here. And of course it features a librarian, and I love librarians. I mean, who doesn't? So I will be reading this one. I've been wanting to get to that one for a long time. The third challenge is for Robin, and this is to read a book featuring a female-female relationship. And I have been trying to read all of the Lumberjanes comics. And I feel like comics are appropriate to read, or graphic novels are appropriate to read for Stranger Things. So I will be continuing reading Lumberjanes. One is called Out of Time. And there are lots of different kinds of characters and relationships in these stories. And they're just so fun and adventurous and out of this world. And the characters, you love all of them. So I will be picking that one up. Number 4 is for Steve the Hare Harrington, and that is to read a popular book. And I wasn't sure what constitutes a popular book, so I chose a bestseller, which is Anne Patchett's The Dutch House. And I just barely got this book in the mail, so I'm excited to immediately add it to a TBR. I don't know very much about this, except that it seems to be about either some sort of mystery about this house. The back says, we pretended that what we had lost was the house, not our mother, not our father. We pretended that what we had lost had been taken from us by the person who still lived inside. So there's something about this house, and I'm just looking forward to it because it is a bestseller. It is quite popular right now. So that's for Steve. I don't think Steve would read that book, but you know what? It's popular. Number 5 is for USS Butterscotch, which is the new popular ice cream dish that they serve at Scoops Ahoy, where Steve and Robin work. So I'm sorry, for USS Butterscotch, the challenge is to read a sweet contemporary book. And I don't know that I own a sweet contemporary book, but I do own a lot of Maeve Binchy that I have not read anything yet. So mostly contemporary compared to some of the books that I usually read, classics and things. Certainly contemporary compared to my ShakeTube TBR. But I chose Evening Class, been highly recommended to me. It's about different characters coming and going from an evening class is what they all share in common. And that's all I know. But I've been so looking forward to reading some Maeve Binchy, and it's quite a hefty book, so it will be exciting to dive into something that's lengthier. And then last for this challenge is Starcourt Mall, where they work in Scoops Ahoy, and where all these characters kind of discover, right, some secrets. And this is to read a book you bought or received recently. So I will be reading The Landscape of History by John Lewis Gaddis. This is a nonfiction book about the study of history and how historians make sense of the past and how they kind of, well, hopefully it will kind of introduce me to some ideas, some theories on how we incorporate things into the past, how we view things in their context, and maybe how we look at different kinds of past, different kinds of people inhabiting the past. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot about history from that. I survived. I don't know where my cat disappeared to. Oh, he's eating and drinking. So I will go snuggle him in just a minute, but please let me know if you're participating in either ShakeTube or the Stranger Things readathon, and be my buddy as we endure September together. There's always another book.